A group of us at the station started talking about the crime problem. At this station, at WWL, everyone here comes from every single walk of life and every single community, whether it be the 9th Ward, the 7th Ward, Treme, it could be uptown, downtown, people on the West Bank, people on the North Shore. We've all come before and had those conversations in this newsroom about how to approach this topic and what we see in our communities every single day.
I started at WVL TV in April of 1977. Crime's always been a problem here, but I don't remember anything like this. And when you see it can happen anywhere to anybody. I mean, good Lord, how many times have there been problems at the Costco gas line? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Just a lot of different, pictures.
We were all raised together. We had each other. And my kids is your kids are my kids. As they say, it takes a village. And that's what we did. And Linda was a big part of that tribe.
4 teenagers, a 17-year-old boy and 3 girls, all of them 15 and 16, are in custody for the deadly carjacking of a 73-year-old grandmother yesterday.
How young you are.
I know. Look how good I look there. My hair does.
She was a grandmother, she was a mother, she was a best friend, a supporter, a backbone, a giver. She was kind. She would do anything for anyone, even the worst people that would hurt her.
I heard screaming, like you're about to die sort of scream, like one you don't hear. It's just not a normal scream.
This was a rarity for her to be at the office. She normally just went out and did collections or talked to people, and when she would go to someone's house, she would sit and have coffee. If they needed to go, the elderly people, if they didn't have a ride and needed to go to the store, she would take them.
Witnesses say the woman was caught in her seatbelt and dragged as her SUV sped off on Bienville Avenue.
He got a phone call from his brother, and that's when he called me immediately after. I know he was in distraught and devastation and anger and fear.
An older female had been carjacked and dragged.
I've come to terms with that she has passed. It's still very hard, but the way she passed has outraged me.
All I can tell you right now with regards to the extent of the injury, she was dislodged from the vehicle and her arm was severed from her body.
They knew what they were doing. How can you do that? How can you push an elderly lady out of her car? Linda would have gave them that car.
A bystander was chasing the car, telling them, "You're pulling the woman, stop, stop." He opened the door. He kicked her, tried to kick her loose, but she didn't come loose.
It's not anyone else's decision, but that guy who was driving the car knew what he was doing. She did not deserve to be tortured like that. And no one does.
He didn't know what to feel because just 100 different emotions hit him all at once when he got the phone call from his brother.
Yeah, let them have a moment. Yeah, I'm gonna. What made you want to do the Veal Brothers stories from the first time you heard about it?
I heard about the Veal Brothers stories when we did that story a year ago. I remember one of the brothers being killed initially, and then I remember the other 2 being killed just a few days later. so within a week. And I said, can you imagine all of your children at one time, in 1 week, being taken away from you?
We got a baby. This your big daddy.
You feel like your life is ripped apart. You feel like your soul is torn into several pieces.
We ask that you be with us in this service, Lord, that you would strengthen this family, Lord, my family, that you'll hold us up, Lord. And we thank you for being nice.
It was just such a senseless ambush.
They loved their family, and their family loved them dearly.
But I wanted people to see that, no, these were 3 brothers with 3 family members here with them, their father included and their aunt and uncle, who adored them, who absolutely loved them.
They were each other's best friends.
We would not give up. We would not stop.
A barrage of bullets.
There's been a lot of violence in the city of New Orleans.
They were young men who had futures, one who had a baby that had recently come.
I see you, boy. This who you gonna rely on if something haven't happened to me, man.
We're about just over a year since, unfortunately, you lost all 3 family members in 1 week. A year later, we're sitting here and we have you all in silhouettes. Because are you still living in some sort of fear? Or are you still kind of feeling like that you're in danger because this case hasn't been solved?
Definitely. To know that whoever the perpetrators are still walking around doing whatever, for us to just come out and talk openly about it, it's kind of, it's kind of frightening for us because we don't know what's going on. We don't know who these people are.
I mean, I have good days, and then some days I just can't come out the house. So of course I know that the kids are supposed to bury the parents. You're not supposed to bury your kids.
Can you take me back to that unfortunate day when you learned of the shootings?
I actually got a call from my son because his brothers was on scene. I guess they just was crazy about what had happened.
Brian Veal was shot and killed February 13th at Loyola and Washington in Central City.
He told me that police let his brother bleed out on the street and they wouldn't help him, and he was in hysterical, but he was in jail. I guess they they were so upset with what happened that it was hard to control them. So he called me from jail.
They detained him?
Yeah, both of them.
Did they say why did they detain him?
Well, they were charged with resisting arrest. It should be a normal thing to have hysterical brothers seeing their brother get murdered on the street.
You lose one of your sons and a week later?
Yes.
Was it, can you kind of take us back to that particular day?
Earlier that day, my brother had gone up there to talk to his other 2 sons and the mother about getting everything finalized to bury Brian.
They went to the bank to retrieve the money that I just sent at the ATM, and then they went to McDonald's, and on their way back home to feed their mom and themselves, they were murdered. They were ambushed. The reports were that they jumped out of bushes and behind cars and stuff, and just started shooting them.
So you all are in the midst of planning a funeral for one and now for all 3. What was happening for you all at the time?
We were like spinning out of control. We didn't know what to do. We just said, okay, we need to stop and just take a minute and get this done. And I was just trying to handle it. I would call my brother.
My sister was taking care of everything. I just didn't know what to do.
How were you able to put yourself in that mindset too? Because you also just lost all 3 of your nephews.
It had to be done. I didn't have time to think about myself. It had to be done. They had to be laid to rest.
I just want to debunk the whole idea about, African American men not taking care of their kids and that whole thing. Despite divorce, my brother did above and beyond. above and beyond. It was just a normal thing for him to do what he did, even though they weren't living with him and that type of thing. It was normal. So, you know, there was always that love. Those boys were loved. They were not street kids. They were not castaways. They were not in that realm.
We have a lot of people who are experiencing this sort of crime wave, shootings, carjackings, break-ins, carjackings that have now turned deadly.
Right. Yes.
So I guess some people are asking, what's really left for me here? You know, is it safe for me to live here? Should I go to another parish? What do you think needs to happen in order for people to feel safe living in New Orleans?
Our elected officials need to step up and take control of our city. They've just left our city if it's not a certain area, and it's like we don't matter. But we actually matter. I mean, tourism is not the only thing for a city. That's not the only thing. When your citizens and everything start pulling out and the federal dollars will definitely be gone as well, then what?